Sniff it. It's not cement.
All right.
Do you know what we're
Yeah.
doing? The Saudi League.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Today we're talking about the Saudi League. I'm Ant.
I'm Sam.
The Saudi League are making a lot of big transfers. They've obviously been able to offer a lot more money than a lot of other clubs. They've signed some big names, the likes of Benzema. They've got Kante there. They've got Ruben Neves from Wolves. Obviously, Ronaldo's already there. They kind of asked the question of, what does the future look like in terms of the Saudi League on the rise? They can obviously offer a lot more money, and I think that might start to turn a lot of heads. Salaries will go up. We see the likes of Ronaldo going there. That obviously brings in a lot more viewers, and as the players and the names increase over there, it's obviously going to bring a lot more of attraction. So I guess for a while we've already seen this in terms of the Premier League, being able to offer a lot more money than maybe even some of the other European clubs. We see the transfer budgets that the Premier League clubs have are usually a lot bigger than the other European leagues combined. So yeah, what does that really look like? The Saudi League, they scrapped the Super League. They thought that was, obviously a bad idea, but all of a sudden the Saudi League's on the scene now, and it looks like they're just going to have all the best players. If all of a sudden you have, say, Haaland at Man City, his contract runs out and Saudi now offer him 2-3 times the big money he's already on, that's going to be pretty hard to turn down.
Well, first thing that comes to my head is the China League, where a few years ago, that was probably the place to go for money.
Yeah.
But you haven't seen that taken off.
I think potentially, from what I know about that, it was the same thought going through my head when we saw, like, Tevez was a big name that went there. Oscar left Chelsea, and the biggest thing around him was he left in his prime. You kind of think, fair enough, you see players when they retire, the likes of Ronaldo, you see them maybe going to the US, Saudi leagues, maybe Japan, China, maybe a slightly level below, just prolong their career, maybe get a bit more money, live a different lifestyle. But Oscar was the big one because he left in his prime. But again, I don't think the China maybe had the kind of financial backing to have sustained success. I think they maybe offered some big contracts out and just couldn't maintain that, which I don't think is an issue for Saudi Arabian football because they've got so much wealth over there, so much money, they can offer these huge contracts that people just cannot compete with. So yeah, very similar to the China stuff, but I think that kind of fell through because of the way they had it all structured and whatnot. But this, I don't think Saudi are short for cash by any means. Yeah. In 5-10 years time, maybe less, we see Ruben Neves is probably the Oscar comparison nowadays, because I think he's like 26, 27, rumoured with like Barcelona and a lot of big clubs. He was probably looking for his next move to come into like the prime of his career, and now he's been offered some big money move and he's taken that. And even like Karim Benzema, he's the current Ballon d'Or holder and he's playing in the Saudi League.
That's true.
So how do the other clubs compete with that when someone's offering so much money?
I guess you've got to look at, do people watch football for the players or do people watch football for the competition? Because you've got a league like Premier League where it's become so competitive now, like everyone's watching it. But I'd say big players going to Saudi, they're obviously going to get more viewership maybe for Saudi Arabia. So would you say football fans are going to go and watch the Saudi League obviously it's early days, but they're going to go and watch the Saudi League because these big players have moved there? I wouldn't see it happening yet. It's obviously early stages, but I feel like everyone's going to be watching the bigger leagues that have that competitiveness between the teams.
I would almost think, it's a good point, but it is also an element of you could have two big teams versus each other. Say you've got Barcelona and Real Madrid, but let's say all their best players left and now play for two Saudi teams, and now you could be watching like a Vinicius Junior, you could be watching Lewandowski play each other in the Saudi League. Yeah. Is that not what the Champions League is? Like, say it's a club that kind of gets it in there.
But each team has their following, like you support a team, and that's the main reason people watch. Like, I wouldn't watch every Premier League game in a weekend, but I'd watch every single Everton game because I'm a fan. I do have players that I like, but I wouldn't go and start watching Saudi League because one of my favourite players has moved there. Like, people like different things, but I wouldn't say at this early stage it's going to have that much of an impact. How many more viewers have they got since Ronaldo moved to Saudi League?
Well, I wouldn't know the exact stats, but
he's probably like the biggest player to go because he's got the biggest followers, paid the most, he's like one of the best players ever. So he's like the prime player to go there and like showcase their league. I wonder how much impact that has had on their league so far. I wouldn't say it's a whole lot.
Well, just for example, let's say Messi went to he's obviously, news has it that he's gone to Inter Miami. if he went to the Saudi League and he was on another team, and then 1 week it's obviously Ronaldo Saudi team versus Messi.
Messi.
Yeah, no one's really too interested in the clubs. They're certainly on maybe a global scale right now. But the headline is Ronaldo versus Messi. You're going to tune into that.
Yeah.
And especially if over time, maybe they sign Mbappe to that team, maybe Haaland goes there, and all these like promising young players start going through. You're like, oh, actually, these are some all-star teams. Maybe like these two Saudi teams versus each other is actually better quality football than you're going to get in the Premier League if all the top talent starts moving across.
Yeah.
And I think already the reason we see such a competitive league, like the Premier League, like you said at the start, is because they can offer more money. So all the better players, the Premier League can currently poach them because we're like, oh, hey, you're earning X amount in the talent league, we'll sign you and we'll double your salary with ease.
But even the fact that Messi's gone to the US instead of taking a massive offer from Saudi, he obviously recognises that Saudi probably isn't, like it's not a...
I was surprised to see him go to the US because I saw...
You reckon?
Well, I saw figures like where they were offering Messi in Saudi Arabia like $1 billion over like 2 years. Like money that you just cannot fathom. But again, it's like when you get to his age, you've completed everything in the game. You've won absolutely everything.
Yeah.
He is potentially looking like more of a lifestyle decision. Does he want to go live in the US or does he want to live in Saudi Arabia?
And that's what we talked about with the Ronaldo move. Like, when you're that caliber of player, at what point does any additional money just mean nothing? Like, surely once you have enough money, any more is just going to have no impact on your life. So that's why I thought it was strange that Ronaldo's gone to Saudi. He's probably the richest player ever.
Yeah.
Whereas Messi has actually turned down a bigger money offer and gone to the US. Again, yeah, if it's a lifestyle thing. I think he's made a deal with the TV rights there. He gets a cut from the TV rights. So he is making
maybe it's a better
money
deal
that
after
way.
all, yeah.
Yeah. But we were saying at the time, like, I would have thought, yeah, Ronaldo would go do
Zlatan. Yeah.
He like
was a big
had a big following there and stuff, and it was like pretty popular in the US.
Well, even like if you look at David Beckham, who went to the US, you could argue that was a better long-term decision because he now owns Inter Miami. He now owns a whole club, and potentially he's in a much better position now than if he went to a different country, got more wages short term.
Yeah.
But then that doesn't lead to all the
if you go to a league where there's a massive following, you increase your following, you increase, like, improve your brand, like so life decisions after football, like it's probably, you're going to be better off. But
like if Messi's thinking, he's only got, I don't know, 5 years of playing left, maybe less. He's like, what am I doing after football? And I think potentially he's already starting to think about that now and make decisions that benefit him. Because if Saudi offer him better wages for the next 2 years, he might think, well, in 20 years' time, it might have been better to go to the US because he'll build his brand and everything over there much bigger. And like you said, if he's getting cut of TV rights, or maybe he's already gone to Beckham's club, they're both Adidas guys, who knows how well they know each other already. There might be other deals happening there. But yeah, it certainly would offer a lot more to him financially. Going to the US, there's obviously big money there too.
Yeah, and I think for the Saudi League, bringing in big players is like one step, but I think alongside that, they need to sort out like their TV rights and make it accessible for everyone in the world so they can view those players and build up a following of the league. Because if you're just buying big players but no one can watch it, or it's not easily available, like you've got to go onto like an illegal stream or something, like you're not going to build a following for the league.
If you're a player though and you're like, someone gives you an offer, it's a Premier League club, let's say it's Nottingham Forest for example, just plucked that randomly out of the air, and you're like, oh, that'd be great, like it'd be great to play in the Premier League, and then a Saudi club's like, oh, here's 5 times as much money.
Yeah.
As much as you might think, oh, there's plenty of history within that club, you get to play these other clubs week in, week out, there's still a lot more money. Like people are forever changing jobs and doing lots of crazy things for money. And it's just, when it's so astronomical, it gets really hard to turn down. And over time, there's already players that can be like, oh, Ronaldo went there. So there's that little bit of short-term history at least. There's going to be kids watching it now that their first knowledge of Ronaldo is him playing in Saudi Arabia, and they're just going to be having a look at old videos where he's at Real Madrid and United and Juventus and all this. And I've even seen kids wearing the Al Nassr kits, and you think like, that's purely for Ronaldo. A lot of kids these days will pick a player and follow the player. So if you're, I don't know, a Benzema fan, you're now like following him in Saudi Arabia. And I can see so many players following suit. You look at all the players who go to Real Madrid because Zidane played there, or Ronaldo, or whoever it is, and now it's going to be the same thing, but in the Saudi League. Because you saw Zlatan, as you mentioned, he went to the US, but he went to LA Galaxy, which is where Beckham went, and Gerrard went. And there's already so many players who have gone before him to that league and that club specifically. So already that is more, that club may be to an international audience, has a bigger name and brand and a bigger lure to the foreign players versus just any kind of regular US team. What's so funny?
Bigger lure.
I was trying to think of the word and I remembered it and then I had to add it in later. But yeah, I think in 10 years' time...
You reckon 10 years is how long it's going to take
Maybe
for
less.
the league to be up with all the other leagues, like Spanish League, Italian League, Premier League?
I think already in this transfer window, you could already see some big names who have already gone there.
Yeah.
And if you include the likes of Ronaldo, who's already there, you've got Benzema. I mentioned a few at the start. That's like one transfer window, really. And come into January, they might sign a few more. And every year, players will be more willing to join because they'll see a lot more players gone before them and there'll be more players that they know. Like if you're a Brazilian player and there's already like a few Brazilians in the team, like, oh yeah, I'll go join that team. Ronaldo's definitely kind of led a lot of people there. He's kind of opened the floodgates for everyone just to follow suit. Like if he does it, why would you not? Like he's arguably the greatest ever. I always think if you're coming to the end of your career, you can go there. Like that's no issue. That's a good decision to prolong your career, earn a lot more money. But yeah, it's always a worry when players are choosing to do that in their prime because currently the Saudi League, you'd say, is a lot lower standard than the other European leagues. But if more players start to go there, that's when you see it improve. And that's why, like, if you inject money into the league and you attract better players, better coaches, better facilities, better everything, you'll see the quality of football increase and then that becomes the best.
Yeah.
It might be less. Like even you see like Newcastle, like their takeover, already just giving them money, make a few signings. Like they're a much better team now than they were, and that's kind of just what money can do in football. We saw obviously like Wrexham as well, buying a few more players, offering something a little bit different, so they were able to attract better players that came into a league that was a bit lower, and they've obviously gained some success from that. It won't take long. Ronaldo came out in the interview and said he thinks it won't be long before they're in the top 5 leagues in the world, and I think if you start to see more and more players go there, I certainly believe that.
So do you reckon players would give up Champions League football as well to go and play in the Saudi League? Because that's what everyone wants to do. Like obviously, like so. You want to win your local league and you want to win Champions League, and usually Champions League like is the bigger prize, right? So you think a lot of players would give that up, like especially if they're coming from big teams, because like you might see some of the more mediocre players go to Saudi Arabia for the money. But if you're a part of like Man City,
well, how about Benzema? He's left Real Madrid.
Yeah, but he's towards the end of his career, isn't he?
He's a Ballon d'Or winner. Like he's been voted the best
he
player
is,
in the world.
But he's coming towards the end.
Well, Neves is the example I guess we've been using. Definitely a top 4 Premier League team, or even like I said, he was rumoured with Barcelona. Neves, they've got Champions League football. They've just won the league. Yeah. He could go there, and he's like, oh no, actually I'll go Saudi, because they're probably offering him a lot more money, and even if they're buying in from Wolves, they can offer him. So even the clubs are like, oh, we'd rather sell you to Saudi. And yeah, over time, like he'll get more and more competitive. You'll already see players going there for money. Like Ronaldo he could have easily gone to a different, like a lower, like, I don't know, like a different European club. Like he was trying to go to Napoli and Dortmund and all these other teams. But he would have had to take a pay cut in order to play Champions League football. Whereas he was like, no, I'll rather money. And he's gone to Saudi Arabia, given all that up and got this huge contract.
Yeah, that's just frustrating. Like he's got that much money. Like, yeah, Saudi are offering like heaps, but to him, it'd be like nothing. Like there's no change to his lifestyle. For the rest of his life, there'll be no change to his lifestyle. The amount of extra money he's getting from deals and merchandise and like products beside football, that money's going to make no difference to his life. So why is he going there?
Probably not.
Like as you said, he's taking a pay cut. So for him, it's like taking away my status as the best player because I'm no longer being paid the most money in the world.
Yeah.
That's just frustrating to me. That's why I feel like Messi's done the right thing. Not that it matters, like it doesn't matter what we think, but for him, yeah, it might be a lifestyle thing, but to these guys, money should have no impact on their decision making at this point, surely.
I guess not, but I mean, you know, the guy who's got $1 billion is going to want 2, and like the guy with 5 is going to want 10. Like you can always, people are always going to want more money, and you know, it's just more generations of that Ronaldo family that are just going to be set up just forever. But yeah, it's quite a concern. Is there anything more you'd like to add, or?
No, I'm good, mate.
All right.
What are we snipping?
I'll wrap it up. I'm cutting. It's all done there.
Yeah, right.
All right. That just about does us for today with our chat about the Saudi League. You've had my thoughts there along with my friend Sam. Yeah, if you guys have any other different opinions to that, make sure to chuck it in the comments. Give the video a like if you've agreed with anything we've said there. Be sure to subscribe as well. We're trying to get that subscriber count up. Appreciate all the support there. I've been Ant, this has been Sam, and this has been Red Mate. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Wait, aren't you going to keep talking?
Today we're talking about the Saudi League. Today we're talking about the Saudi League.
Oh, no, I'm a fucking...
Today we're talking about the Saudi League. I've got Sam here with me. Cool.
Cool.